Me and Nikki was on our way out of Far Harbor when we were approached by a robot named Pearl.
Ah, you there. Are you that detective I've heard about?
I might be. Depends on what this is about.
And who's asking?
Mayor Avery said that someone new had arrived on the island, investigating a missing person. That must be you.
Seems word travels fast around here.
I haven't been able to find any of the local police force. The louts? I don't want to start a panic, but, well, we may have a murder on our hands, and we need an outside set of eyes.
Where did the crime take place?
At the Cliff's Edge Hotel, just north of the town.
Who's the victim?
Well, we want to keep this out of the tabloids, but it's Ezra Parker, the financier of the hotel. Will you help us? There may still be a murderer at large.
Okay, I'll help.
Oh, thank goodness.
Murder? Mystery? Well, that's right up our alley. I met Pearl outside the Cliff's Edge Hotel. It was a rundown joint filled with the decaying grandeur of what once was but was no more. I saw a platform elevator very similar to the one that was outside Vault 111, but it appeared to be inactive. This told me that there was a hidden vault beneath the decaying ruins of the Cliff Edge Hotel. The game now was to find the entrance. Pearl accompanied Nikki and I as we cleared the hotel of all sorts of feral ghouls. On the top floor, we found a shredded tent surrounded by bear traps. Most disturbing was the bloody handprint of what appeared to be some gigantic monster. If luck is any sort of a lady, we won't be meeting the likes of him. At last, Pearl took us to a working elevator that brought us to the doorstep of the hidden vault, Vault 118.
Are you the detective we sent for?
It's me, Pearl. I've returned with the investigator.
Let me just get the door for you. Well, it's about time the police sent someone out to investigate. We have many important residents and they're very worried.
What happened? Who died?
It's Mr. Parker, the primary owner and financier for the hotel. This is just a disaster. Have a look at the crime scene for clues. And when you're ready, we can discuss your findings.
Sounds like trouble.
You are free to question the residents.
It seems like old Maxwell needed a gumshoe. Well, it's his lucky day. He got 2 for the price of 1. In the main atrium, we found a robo-brain on its side. Its brain casing was cracked and there was blood on the floor.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Excuse me?
Ezra, you have outdone yourself. This is your finest work. There is more emotion in his death than most have had in their entire lives.
Our friend is dead, Mr. Avita. Have you no respect?
I'm just saying that at least he had the decency to make a spectacle of it. There is nothing worse
Please,
than
if I may.
That's
If
what
I
this
could
is
just
to you?
have your attention.
You're sick.
I'm sorry for shouting. But the detective has arrived and shall begin the investigation henceforth.
Santiago had a curious fascination with this murder. Something reminded me that murderers tend to return to the scene of the crime.
Your residents are robots.
Not robots, detective. Well, not exactly, anyway. I believe the term they use is robo-brain. Back before the war, the residents decided the best way to wait it out was to put their brains inside robotic chassis.
But first, we needed to collect clues. I followed a bloody trail that led me to a blue baseball bat called the Fence Buster, a slow melee weapon that ignores 30% of the target's damage and energy resistance. Maxwell had some thoughts on this clue.
I found the murder weapon.
Oh no. That's the bat from Mr. McKinney's movie. You don't think he could be involved, do you? I can't imagine him ever doing such a thing.
When I approached Keith, I saw him having a rather curious conversation with what appears to be his wife, Gilda.
Why should do it, huh? He deserved better than that.
You think I'm stupid? I saw the way he looked at you. You gonna tell me that's nothing?
It wasn't like that. We were friends. He helped me out of a tight spot or two is all.
I couldn't stand by like some pasty-faced Percy while he put the moves on my best girl.
But now the law is on our tail. What are we going to do?
Come away with me. Let's leave this dark hole of a city behind. We can be in Buenos Aires by tomorrow.
Oh, I want to believe you, I do, but they'll never let us go.
Then we'll make our stand here. I've got a gun for each of us.
No, 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 no. The line is, then we'll make our stand here. 2 lovers together with a bullet for each of them.
God. Why can't I ever get that line? Forget it. I can't do this right now.
Ugh, fine. I'm going to the beach.
Hello, Detective. How can I help? Did you have questions about the case?
I found your baseball bat at the crime scene. Care to explain how it got there?
Someone is clearly trying to frame me for the murder. It's probably Santiago. You saw him skulking around the crime scene.
What were you and Gilda talking about when I walked in?
Oh, we were just rehearsing a scene. Nothing to worry about.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
It's obviously Santiago. He keeps going back to look at the crime scene.
Turns out their incriminating conversation was just practice for some drama they were rehearsing. All signs pointed to Santiago. I cornered him in his artist studio where he proceeded to show me his works of art.
Well. If it isn't the long arm of the law, come with me. Tell me, what does this piece say to you?
I don't know. It looks kind of like a face. That spot is the eye. The red blotch is its hair, and it's sticking its tongue out.
Indeed. This was the last piece I did in a series of portraits of Gilda. Number 1378. This way. Tell me, what does this one say to you?
It looks like trees in space. Maybe it's about the struggle to maintain life adrift in an empty void?
Oh, what a very literal interpretation. I asked what it communicated, not what the shapes on the canvas were. It must ascend. And what about this one? And please be honest, for art without honesty is just politics.
It's cute, I guess. Some people like that kind of thing.
Yes, it certainly is cute, isn't it? Truth be told, this is my best-selling piece. I did this series under a pseudonym, of course. This series has made more money than any of my serious works. And I did the whole thing as a lark. What does that tell you about the value of art to the common man, huh?
I think you should explain why you keep returning to the crime scene.
It's for inspiration, Detective. The others do not like to think about it, but even we shall die someday. Like Prometheus's torch, it kindles within me the fire to create as much art as I can with the time that I have.
It sounds like you've done a lot of paintings of Gilda. Why her?
Our Gilda is a very singular creature, Detective. Do you not see the joie de vivre within her? I have never met another who clings to life so tenaciously, who lives so in the moment. I must admit I was quite smitten with her for a time.
You're still in love with Gilda, aren't you?
So what if I am? What business is it of yours? She deserves someone who truly understands her ephemeral beauty, not that brute actor.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
The person you should be looking at is Juliana Riggs. That Philistine would not know art from her own excrement. She and Ezra had a rather dramatic fight recently. You could hear her banshee screeches all the way across the hotel.
What were Juliana and Ezra arguing about?
I don't know. I was painting at the time and I was trying to block it out. Though I bet Gilda probably heard them. Maybe you should check with her.
Santiago is a curious fellow, but nothing about him rang murderer. He had a strange obsession with Gilda. I tracked Gilda down to the beach, where she was sunbathing.
Well now, if it isn't the brave detective. I haven't seen someone with a body like that in far too long.
You're not so bad yourself.
You should have seen me before all this. Red hair that was the envy of every girl and legs for days, darling. I'm sure.
She was a saucy dame, the kind I'm not normally attracted to, but there was something strangely alluring about this metal body of hers.
I must say, you're quite the actress.
What can I say? It just comes naturally.
Have you ever done radio? Your voice is quite enchanting.
Well, darling, play your cards right, and maybe I'll whisper some sweet nothings in your ear.
I must say, I've known flesh and blood girls who aren't half the woman you are.
Keep it up, Tiger, and we'll find out if you can handle how much woman I am.
I couldn't help myself. I wanted to caress her lug nuts and explore her oily crevasses.
Why don't we grab a bottle of wine and go watch the sunset?
Sounds good, Detective. That was great, Detective, but we probably shouldn't make a habit of this. Catch you later, Tiger.
In the morning, I woke, ashamed. A detective shouldn't fall prey to the lusts of the flesh. Or metal. She could be the murderer, and here I've gone and compromised the integrity of my investigation. But there was nothing for it. I had to proceed. I wanted to find out more about this argument that Santiago overheard between Juliana and Ezra, the deceased.
Hello, Mr. Whiskers. Who's a pretty kitty?
Juliana, Mr. Whiskers died last month.
I've just caught another cold. Probably something that got in when they sent Pearl out.
Oh, God. Not this again. Last month you were convinced you had the measles.
You're not a doctor. What would you even know about it? Besides, I think it may be malaria.
First of all, I am a doctor.
Yes, but not a real doctor. Robotics isn't an actual medical degree.
Secondly, I've told you time and again, you can't get sick inside the suit. It's not physically possible.
I know when I'm getting sick, Bert. Now why don't you just wander off and play in your lab?
Oh, God, Juliana.
Have fun,
Whatever.
dear.
I'm going to the lab.
I heard you had a big fight with Ezra a few days ago. Care to explain?
Oh, well, it wasn't that big a deal, really. He wanted more money to pay for repairs on the hotel. I wasn't feeling well that day and lashed out a bit at the poor man. I really should have listened to him more.
Did you have any thoughts about the murder?
If you ask me, it's one of those actors. Or that horrible painter. Their type is always the cause of violence.
These robo-brains clearly had a few screws loose, but there was something about the demeanor of Juliana's husband Bert that raised a red flag in my mind. I tracked him down to his laboratory to find out what was ailing him.
I heard that Juliana and Ezra had an argument a few days before he was found dead. Tell me about that.
Well, I was in my lab at the time, so I didn't hear it. But Juliana has always been rather critical of Mr. Parker. I think she found something in the overseer's office. I wasn't listening when she told me about it. I kind of had my head in my research.
Have you noticed Juliana acting strangely lately?
Oh, well, I'm probably just being paranoid, but she's been so much more pleasant lately. I mean, it's been nice, but also a bit unnerving. Most people don't really understand us, but I always appreciated how she can just take charge of a situation. It's what allowed me to focus on my research. I'm worried something has happened to her. She doesn't seem like the same person.
What do you mean Juliana's not the same person?
My wife has always been a very harsh woman, Detective. I don't know who it is in our rooms, but that is not my wife, Detective.
The Overseer. Now that's someone I have not met yet. Where is this Overseer? Maybe he is the key to this riddle. I went back to Gilda for guidance.
Apparently, Juliana had a big argument with Ezra a few days before he died. Did you happen to overhear any of the conversation?
It was fever pitch, Detective. She had apparently gone to the Overseer's office to check on the state of things and found it in horrible disrepair. But, and this is where it gets interesting, it sounded like she found something that really set her off. Couldn't hear what, though.
She too spoke of the Overseer. The secret must lie with him. I had already interviewed all of the living members of this vault. Perhaps the dead could give up some secrets. I went to explore Ezra's room. Inside, I found mementos of a life well lived. Ezra was an adventurer, a traveler. We found a variety of weapons and even a bunch of pygmy skulls, which were actually made of plastic.
Are these plastic? Why would he have plastic skulls?
It seems this Ezra was putting on a bit of a show. He wanted to appear like more of a man than he was. If his exploratory exploits were all fake, what other secrets might he have? In his bedroom, I found a key to the overseer's office. I found a door in the back of the atrium that led me up a rusting stairway to the balcony of the atrium. Clearly, the rich residents of this vault did not venture up here very often. The place was poorly lit and was fallen to bits. At the end of the balcony was a locked door to the overseer's office. Using Ezra's key, I wound my way up to find a ruined room with the remains of the overseer draped over his desk. We were getting close, I could feel it. His terminal gave up the secrets of this vault and the key I needed to unravel this mystery. The vault was created in a combined effort between Ezra and Vault Tech. Ezra helped Vault Tech recruit up to 10 wealthy residents. Vault Tech planned to use these residents as part of their experiments. Their plan was to keep these 10 wealthy residents in a beautiful and lavish wing of the vault, but then to house up to 300 dregs from society, homeless, penniless, laborers, in a secondary vault. The Machiavellian nature of this evil corporation became clear. Vault Tech would lead the 300 residents through the lavish and richly appointed upper vault to their final home, the lower vault, which was small and cramped, not enough room for all 300, very little food, and no modern amenities. Vault Tech was going to study the reaction of the cramped 300 and compare it with the reactions of the rich 10. What class struggles would emerge? Would there be a riot? Would there be violence? But Vault Tech never got to execute on their experiment. I learned that the day the bombs dropped, somebody from the rich portion of the vault locked the door, keeping the 300 dregs of society from ever accessing the vault. They banged on the door, wanting into the vault, but there was nothing the overseer could do. Worse than that, they never even finished the secondary portion of the vault because the funds that Ezra promised never materialized.
Progress on construction of the second wing of the vault is completely stalled. Once the premier area of the vault had been completed, funding seems to have been cut off. My supervisors have informed me that they haven't received payment from Mr. Parker, and Vault Tech won't pay out of pocket to continue construction. I've repeatedly approached Ezra about the finances, but he keeps telling me that Mrs. Riggs hasn't transferred the funds. However, when I asked her, Juliana said that she had just given Ezra extra for the gold paint in the rooms. I've hired an investigator to look for signs of embezzlement in a few weeks.
Unlike other vaults in this world, Vault Tech was not funding this one by itself. It was depending upon Ezra Parker to secure the finances from the rich inhabitants of the upper vault. But Ezra kept telling Vault Tech that he was having a hard time obtaining the funds from the wealthy residents. In truth, he was keeping the funds for himself, which is why he locked the doors to the vault, preventing the 300 from entering. While exploring the ruins of the vault, I found an unfinished garage with cars that apparently belonged to the wealthy residents being loaded into garage bays. This was the purpose of the large vault elevator that we found outside the Cliff's Edge Hotel. In one of the garages, through a wrecked wall, was the unfinished secondary vault. This would have led to the cramped quarters where Vault Tech would have conducted their experiments on the 300 dregs, but it was never finished because Ezra refused to pony up the funds. At last, the pieces all clicked into place. Ezra embezzled money from Juliana and Bert. When Julianne came up to the overseer's office, she read the terminal and learned what Ezra had done. But Ezra had yet to make his escape. He had stayed in the vault all these years, hoping to squeeze even more cash out of its wealthy residents. And so Juliana kills Ezra and frames Keith McKinney. This doesn't quite explain the change of personality Bert noticed in her, but at least we found the killer.
Sounds like Ezra was embezzling from his investors.
Once Nikki and I uncovered the truth, we went downstairs to confront Ezra's murderer, Juliana.
Hello, Detective. Did you have a question about the heinous murder?
I found some evidence that Ezra was embezzling from you and the other investors.
Oh, well, I really don't believe that. Mr. Parker wouldn't do such a thing, I'm sure.
I think you're the real murderer.
That's just silly, Detective. Why would I want to kill Mr. Parker?
Ezra was embezzling your money. That's why you killed him and framed Keith.
You were so close, Detective.
It's a shame. I thought I could keep the ruse going a little longer. Oh, well. Had to end eventually, I suppose. This doesn't have to end in more violence, Detective. Just walk away. I'll leave, and you can tell them I escaped.
Why did you kill Juliana?
I hadn't planned on it, but Juliana figured out what I was doing and had to be dealt with swiftly. I thought I could get a bit more money out of this place before making my escape. What's it going to be, Detective? Join me in getting rich? Or die defending some outdated ideals?
Not a chance. Your murder spree stops here.
Then let us end this.
Order has prevailed.
And with that, the mystery of the murder of Vault 118 came to a close. Another successful caper for this detective duo.
I found the killer.
It was Ezra. He killed Juliana and took her place to hide his tracks.
My word! I never thought Mr. Parker was capable of something like this. What happened when you confronted him?
Turns out Robo-Brains can eat. And I served him up a heapin' helping of justice.
Well, bravo, I suppose.
I went back to Pearl to tell her the good news. She had a variety of goods for sale, including the Dapper Gent, a legendary fedora that grants +2 charisma and reduces damage from robots by 15%. She also had a note called Request for Detective, which I kept as a keepsake from this successful case. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the full story of Vault 118, the Cliff's Edge Hotel, and the apparent murder of Ezra Parker. This was one of my favorite quests in Far Harbor. It was so much fun, and the romancing of Gilda gave me fond memories of good old Fisto from Fallout New Vegas. But what did you think of the Cliff's Edge Hotel and Vault 118? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I read all of your comments and I use them as inspiration for my future videos. I produce a new video every single day of the week, so be sure to subscribe to find out what I publish tomorrow. And if you like this video and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming one of my patrons on Patreon. Patreon subscribers gain access to my private Discord server, as well as a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just so glad that you're here watching this video today. Thanks for watching and for giving my horrible film noir voice, and I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, with a brand new video.